As we go to tape with this segment, we do not know if Cincinnati City Manager Harry Black is going to resign or if he's going to stay. We do know this. Those questions follow a rancorous number of weeks at City Hall. And joining me now to talk about that is Amanda Seitz. Really appreciate your perspective on this. Have we ever seen a time where there's been this much discord in City Hall?
Certainly not in the time that I've covered City Hall, but I've heard also from people who've covered this for many years. Either they've moved on or are still covering it, and they have not seen anything like this. The relationship right now between the city manager, city council, and the mayor, it's just very dysfunctional.
And it's playing out so publicly. I mean, there's no secret keeping here.
Right, and that's kind of part of how the city's charter works, which calls for everything to happen in public, including discussions about people's job status.
Mm-hmm. So how do we shift the focus from the politics that we see at play to actual handling issues like the 911 center?
Yeah, well, certainly there are 5 members of council now this week who feel like the way to shift that conversation back to the issues that the city is facing is for the city manager to leave his position. We saw this week that council now has the 5 votes to fire Harry Black. That is a shift for weeks now. Mayor John Cranley has wanted Black gone, but he didn't have the votes. We saw that change this week when the 911 center and the issues there, the understaffing, the problems with technology were brought up. And there is some concern that the city manager is not really focused on solving those issues.
Concern that the city manager isn't focused on solving those issues, but also the rest of the crew. I mean, I've been out and about and I've heard people say that there's a crisis in leadership right now in the city. Do you view it as a crisis in leadership?
Oh, I think anyone would view this as a crisis in leadership. You have your 2 top leaders, the 2 top people, the mayor and the city manager, who are equals. They're in charge of the city. The buck really stops with them. They are not getting along. They are not working together. They're not talking to one another. They are busy spending time flinging mud at one another. So that is certainly not how any city wants to ideally operate.
All right, very quickly, is it fixable?
There are some council members who believe it's fixable if Harry Black is no longer in the position.
All right. So it's a time will tell sort of thing. Amanda, thank you for your perspective on this as we continue to follow the drama at City Hall.